Okay, guys, so today I'm going to be taking a look at another piece of game art. This is going to be a promo art for RuneScape for Iron Man mode. So going in, we need to know what Iron Man mode is. What is Iron Man mode? Iron Man mode is when you play RuneScape with no access to trading and no access to the Grand Exchange. So basically, you are doing everything from scratch. You can't buy items, you can't buy anything. You have to build it, which is insane. It's like RuneScape, which is already so difficult a game to level up in and move up in. It's such a rewarding game in that it is so difficult to go anywhere and do anything. Um, but it really is for I have never met a single person who doesn't play RuneScape who is not extremely successful or extremely smart. Like this game separates. This game evolution is using the aliens invented this game to separate the elite among us and the subpar among us. And it uses League to filter through all of the subhumans that play League. And all the higher tier humans, the elevated Olympian humans that will be raised to the Pure Lands when the aliens return, are the ones that play RuneScape. It is really, it takes an insane level of patience to play RuneScape. Don't worry, I'm not trying to say you're not dumb. I played League for 10 years. And I could not get into RuneScape. I mean, I got into RuneScape. I leveled up a lot. I have 92 magic, I think. But it was hard. It's an ass-kicking game. But Iron Man mode makes it even harder. It makes it even harder. And this is the poster for Iron Man mode. I don't know about you, but I don't feel that epicness. I do not feel it. So how do we get this to look epic? How do we get this to look a bit more epic? So let's talk about why it doesn't look epic. Well, it doesn't look epic enough for Iron Man mode in RuneScape because it just looks like a bunch of kids playing cosplay. It really just it looks like cosplay. It doesn't feel like it's representing that level of epicness that is required of a person to play it. These five champions here are dressed in such a way with these Trojan helmets. These are Trojan helmets, right? They are dressed in this way because it takes a champion to play in this mode. You can never undo this mode. You have to start a new account. So it's permanent. You stay in this mode that has no trading for the entire duration of this account, however long you're going to use it. You can never degrade back to a normal account where you can have all the cheats and have all the items you can buy. So that's why they decided in this outfit. I don't have a problem with the outfit. I do have a problem with the lack of imagination in the gesture, the lack of imagination in the general layout, the almost godlike, not that it's godlike in an epic way, it's almost like divine death, like you died and went to heaven. Background, it doesn't feel epic enough. One moment. So there are scenes the splashes for Superman covers, but there are Superman comic book front, covers. I'm sure the pros among us will know which ones they are, but it's basically Superman standing with his cape flowing in the air, looking fantastic, and there's all these clouds around him. So he does look very Jesus-like, and Superman is a very Jesus-like character. He's portrayed as a hero of pure heart. And so he has this, like cloud range always sometimes behind him. Sometimes it's perfectly blue. So what I'm trying to say is it doesn't seem to work. These are not the same. It's not the same idea. If you want to show clouds behind them, make them gray, heavy clouds. Make it a really strong silver lining. Make it a type of setting that really reflects that level of epicness you imagine when you think 300 or the Trojans or something like that. So I'm going to get rid of some of these things. And I made a scene in Portrait Studio to talk about another element of this. So we talked about the costumes. Okay, that's a problem. And the gesture and the body type. It's just too Wes Anderson. The camera's level perfectly with the chest line, meaning this line right here, shoulders, and symmetry line. The character just feels like someone in the San Diego Comic-Con, like they're just dressed up as a character they like. It doesn't feel like It doesn't feel like this person had full creative power to give them any body type they wanted. They just picked something very standard, which is not working. We're artists, we're illustrators. We can crank up the fantasy. We can give them extremely crazy proportions, and that's why the League Splashers are so successful, because you see these types of proportions in these characters. So the costume, the body type, sorry about my writing, and then the background color, which is acceptable, you know, it just looks a bit heavenly. It doesn't look like war, and it should look like war, because that's what I feel like Iron Man mode represents. And it's such a big deal. It's such a revolutionary change to the game. And then there's the camera angle. I mentioned the camera angle with the body type and the gesture, but that has to do, that's a little bit separate from the actual camera angle. The camera angle is not epic. It doesn't look like this cameraman has a lot of experience in movies. They just brought in any guy to put these guys in a frame. We want to pick a camera angle that a veteran cameraman would have picked in a movie. And so I'm going to raise the field of view, and I'm going to lower the camera angle and zoom in just a bit and position these characters in such a way that it feels very, very strong. It feels like a strong scene. Okay? And it feels like these characters really are representing the kind of team. So there's Iron Man mode as a team as well. Team Iron Man or Iron Man group or something like that. So this is the poster for that. It's not singular. So we want to make it look like this is the event. These are the Avengers. This is a group of heroes. Takes all kinds of balls to play this game with no trading, with no access to trading, and you can't buy items that are pre-made. That's insane. So it's trying to represent that level of Avenger epicness. It's trying to show that this team isn't just any ordinary team. So as soon as they're superior to you, basically, these are superior human beings that will play on RuneScape on Iron Man mode. So that's the idea. If I was the artist hired to make this illustration happen, these are the thoughts that are going to go through my head. I'm going to think movie frame. I'm going to think a really, really cool setup. So we don't have to make one character lower than the others. I mean, at the level, the middle character, which is like the leader of the group, can just be like very, very high among the others. We can do something like that. Maybe they're floating. Why limit it? Why limit it? You're doing a visual representation of the kind of guts it takes to play this game on this epic scale. So one of the characters could be like that. Some of the characters could be looking down. Some of the characters could be looking like at us, and some of the characters could be looking down. Some of the characters could be, you know, looking forward, and you just give them like a really, really cool, godlike, epic presence, kind of like a god with 5 faces. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm going to go for. So I'm going to separate the characters from the background. I'm going to apply this really, really cool setup with the camera, and then finally, let me turn off all of the sorry, oops. Hide joints. Okay, so I'm going to basically turn off all these joints, and then I'm going to mess around with one more element which makes illustrations happen, which is the lighting. So I want the lighting to look like it's just coming in from the side, and these characters have a light above them, and their faces are shadowed a little bit. Isn't that so cool? And so all of this stuff combined, you just look at this reference I built on Portrait Studio and compare it to this, and it doesn't feel epic enough. This does not feel epic, but look at the detail. Look at the detail on the helmet. Look at the detail on the weaponry. Look at the detail. It was not art related. It was cinema related. Can you guys believe that? That these changes have nothing to do with your actual skill. There's a level of getting good at art that has nothing to do with skill building. It has to do with research. It has to do with watching movies. It has to do with taking notes while watching movies. My private students have movie assignments. Can you believe that? Where they don't do any art. They just look through different movies. They go through different movie and film documentaries. They go through movies of different genres. genres that are very similar to the kind of illustrations they want to paint for Magic the Gathering or splashes of any kind or game art. And they study movie angles, how to make something look epic in a scene. And that's why work like Chase Stone is so breathtaking. Work like his is just, it's on another level. This guy can do work of amazing scale because I believe he isn't just an artist, he's a film buff. This guy knows movies, this guy knows cameras and the power of a good camera angle. Okay, so that's what I'm going to be doing. It's going to take me a little bit, so hang tight while I separate objects from the background, while I separate characters from each other, and try to take on these changes. And it'll be really, really quick. I think most of the issues that I face while critiquing is just the lassoing. That really is what takes a lot of time because I want to stay true to the critique. I want to make sure the critique has an impact, and I can't do it without background access. So I'm just going to clean up here. So if you want to, if you know you're good, but your illustrations have a lackluster to them, it's because you're not studying movies. You're not studying the power of a good camera angle, and you're not looking into how to paint without painting. What is the non-painting level? Write that back to me. What is the non-painting requirement of an illustration? What is a non-painting skill that can boost my illustrations? It's the camera work, it's the light angles, it's the light work, it's the camera angles, it's all of this stuff you don't notice when you watch a movie. You don't notice consciously, but you feel emotionally. You feel like, oh wow, this scene is so epic. This character just entered in this battle scene, and I don't know, I just got goosebumps. Why did you get those goosebumps? Why did you get the goosebumps when all these different characters appeared at the same time? What exactly is it about this one character's power reveal that made you, that made you have goosebumps and made your spine tingle? Like, what is it that, and even, it doesn't even have to be epic scenes. It can be anything. It can be horror movies. Why did that horror movie make you feel that way? Okay, so really start taking movies seriously. You want to be an artist, you got to be an artist on many levels, on the music level, on the film level, on comic books. You have to be ready to enjoy all these different frontiers of creativity for you to bring in all of that back into your work. If you are creating a vacuum where the only thing you look at is just a specific set of artists, and and then obviously in looking at only those artists, you pick up on their mistakes as much as their good habits. You're going to limit your imagination, your visual library, your ability to build scenes without painting. So that's the background separated. It's going to be tricky fitting all of this back in. Let me just clean up the background really quickly, and then we have a seamless approach. So all of these characters are going to get rescaled. Their gestures are going to be changed, and then finally the lighting will be changed, and then you can see the real impact. You log into RuneScape and you look at a background with that much impact on it, you're like, oh my gosh, like, am I going to try Iron Man mode? Like, am I going to try playing it in this mode? And it's really cool because it's promoting this new game mode for players. So you want, dear RuneScape, you want your characters to feel an impact in the promo. It's just standard business. You want your characters to feel moved by this poster. And I think that's a lot of what your work is missing. Your work is missing artists, or the artists that you hire are not looking into the movie aspect of this game. I get that the game is like a top-down, really flat gameplay. I love it. I love that it's like that. I love that it's a little bit more analog. I don't know how to really describe it. The game feels very analog compared to other games. And then maybe that art is reflecting that very 90s look. But you are missing out on that epic scale that you're trying to depict in these characters. So let's separate the main guy from the other ones, because this seems like the leader. We need a narrative in every illustration. They can't all have the crown. Some of them are the leader and some of them are not. Some of them get the extra frame. Some of them are Superman and some of them are Batman. Not that anyone is more superior than the other, but it's obvious which role is played by whom. So I'm just going to pick which one of these is the most epic, and obviously it's the one in the center but the fact that these supporting characters are around them makes them look even more epic and epic of themselves just on their own. So I'm just gonna separate these guys. Okay, now that they're separated, I'm not going to do it in this way that you did it. I'm gonna keep that angle low. So the position alone on a two-dimensional level is not the only reason this looks good. We are seeing the bottom part of the torso. We are seeing the bottom part of the chin right here. Okay, we are seeing the bottom part of the chin. We are seeing areas that we would not see had we been taller than this character. We're shorter. We're less. They are so much more superior to us because they play Iron Man mode and we don't. Do you know what I'm saying? So we want this level. All of these characters are head on. Maybe on a two-dimensional level, they're in the same position somewhat. He's higher than the rest of them and they're all surrounding him, but it's not enough. It's not enough of an angle for any of them. So let's move this guy. Let's jump into liquefy and do as much as I can, try to create that low angle, meaning it's gonna be some crazy hack and slash in a second, trying to get all of this to work. So the first thing I'm gonna do is that standard warp on the two-dimensional level, just changing the warp, meaning that I'm going to make the head slightly look smaller than the rest of the body. Okay, so that it starts off, it gets the ball rolling on that low angle camera. And then I'm going to do my best to make the camera look really low, meaning show the head above, in front of that broom. I forget what it's called, that Roman helmet, Spartan helmet. What's that broom called? At the top. And I'm going to make a less, average Joe went to cosplaying body type. No offense, we're artists. Come on, guys. You have access to all levels of tropes and gestures. Give him more of an epic body type. Represent that heroic Athenian level, heroic Olympian body that all artists, young and old, classic and modern, have explored when painting heroes. And so it's that thinner body type, bloated upper chest, and also this team is a class team, right? So there's different there's different types of players. There's mages, there's like melee, there's all kinds of different tiers of the fellowship, right? So there's different levels of combat and there's different types of combat. Why are all their body types exactly the same? Some should be heavier built, some should be, they're representing different weight classes of Olympic physical skill. So change their body types. They all look like they weigh exactly the same. This is a lack of referencing. This is because referencing was not explored. I'm going to zoom all the way out and try to really get that dominant look happening in this hero right here. And he's just really looking down at us. This knight is looking down at us. And you show the different weapons. Some of them are wielding magic, some of them have some kind of other weapon, some of them are ranged. So show the different body types associated with that. A ranged or non-melee fighter is going to be of a thinner build, maybe a more flexible climbing build, Legolas basically, compared to a sword wielding Boromir. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's going to look very different. So before, after, the angle is nice and high, and I really want it to look epic. So I'm just doing a little bit more of that warping in the middle, and just trying to do more of that hide and rotate. Hide the upper part of his shoulder. It shouldn't be visible. Show how the helmet kind of moves in and we see the base of the helmet, like we see some of the helmet in the back. That should really help us see that low angle effect. And that's why I'm going to show the back of the helmet and show us some of the armpit area. We can see that. And I'm just trying to show all of these little tiny things that added together create that feeling of a low angle camera. I'm just going to give those shoulder pads more of a Garen look to them and more of like a full body kind of heavy duty, heavy built heavyweight, sword wielding, big guy. And just try to give the helmet expression too. You can even go that far. You can give the helmet like an expression if you wanted to. Not like that, but like a little bit better than that. Kind of just give it a bit of a inquisitive brow, which is kind of what I'm doing here a little. Okay, so very strong presence, very powerful presence. So the rest of these guys have a really, really similar effect here. So what I'm going to do is separate this guy from the guy behind him and bring him up a little bit closer to create that effect in the lens. Of course, this is tricky, lassoing everybody. I'm going to try to patch it up as best as I can. And I think these spikes are his. I'm not sure. I'm not familiar with this weapon, so separated right here. It's literally non-art stuff. Isn't that crazy? It's non-art changes that make the art look better. That's just, it's so cool. And it's so interesting to see how much more we can do with that type of, here, let me focus on this for a second. That type of creating, that type of building. There's so much more to explore to make things look epic, and they just seem like a really, really big shot team, like a team of big shots kind of all standing together. And then this one here and this guy, they take up the space. I know that the poster and the label, like the logo of RuneScape and all of that, it changes things a little bit from where you do the layout. That can easily be added later. You can change the layout. This is the poster from Wiki, so I believe this square look is what they used in the game. Why did it do that? And I'm just enlarging this character here. And then this character here is just going to be in the same position, but over there. And I want them to block the light. These guys are about to kick your ass. Like this is a group of bullies who have no mercy, and they're all about to kick your butt. And that's the feeling behind it. As the illustrator, you think like that. You kind of put your pride away and you imagine, like, what would I be looking at if I was about to get my ass kicked by a bunch of Spartan Avengers? You know, like, what's it gonna look like? Where am I gonna be standing? I'm tiny, I'm short. They're gonna be a lot taller than me. And they're gonna block away a lot of that light. Okay, so a lot of changes coming up. So we've got this guy, this guy, this guy, which I'm going to put this way, and this guy, and the guy in the middle. So we're going to go back to the reference, and we're going to try to see if we captured some of that. And I feel like there needs to be an even stronger curve. So I'm going to just push this gal over here. Oh, right. Oopsie. I need to keep the two guys in the front of everybody, and this guy in the back since he's behind it. Oops, I didn't label them the right way. So I'm going to just increase his size and put him in front. And push this guy forward a bit since he might be blocked off. And then these two, they're not showing, they're like half visible, but you know, they're big enough in front of the camera. The scale is there, they're in the foreground, so they're going to be a bit darker than the other characters around them. Okay, and so I'm just trying to find where the best spot is for all these guys. All right, and so this guy in the middle, though he's the strongest, his size can be shrunken and put away there or somewhere there. His size can be shrunken to create that scale. So not only are we looking at a camera angle from a low angle, not only are they arranged in a way that shows a heroic team, but the scale, the guys in the front are gigantic compared to the one in the middle, even though it really does feel the one in the middle is the most powerful. These are just like henchmen or side characters. All right, so now it's time to clean up. So I'm just going to complete their gestures as best as I can. So bear with me. It's a lot of a lot of chopping up, a lot of cleaning up. So I'm gonna, yeah, lock that and then try to meet the same level of rendering here. And so this is why I want to critique art that is used by games already, because it really shows you that you guys can do this. You guys can get hired for these jobs. And it's not sometimes a matter of skill. Sometimes you get hired because you know movies and you know how to make an impact with your illustration. Sometimes they pick your gallery over someone who can render hair way better than you just because you know how to make an impact in an illustration. You know how to make it pop. You know how to make it feel right. You know how to make it work, how to represent that specific thing more effectively, even if the rendering is a little bit less than they would like. But you still gave them something that the viewers who don't know any better between well-painted hair and hair that's like B class, you know, compared to A class, they don't know that, but they do know movies. The viewer does know what a movie feels like when two Avengers make the hero landing and how that feels to watch that. The people definitely know how that feels, and so that's what you're responsible for if you're a responsible illustrator. You know that that's something you're going to have to provide. And so I'm cleaning that up and just adding random colors here and there just to keep it interesting. And then finally cleaning up that last character over here, whose leg, I guess, was positioned in some kind of kneel, or like his leg was up. So I'm gonna get rid of that because that's not something we can work on today. So I'm just gonna give him another standing leg because I don't want to put a box. I don't want to put a random box there just for this one guy. They've got a floating box in the sky for the one guy who has lumbar problems like me and needs to put his leg up. Okay, and all right, and I guess that's enough. This guy's arm is missing, so and you can break all kinds of rules. I mean, you don't need to worry about where the box is coming from. But where are we gonna put his leg? His leg is like right there, it's showing. Do you know what I mean? Like we don't have a spot for that. And then I'm just gonna clean up this dude, which obviously is showing up as one of the more important characters. So his leg, the other guy's leg, is in the way of the sword, which I think is a bad idea. So I'm gonna select the sword, copy paste, and try to just complete the look of the sword. Okay, and so that the sword has a real, very, very clear presence. This guy is it's usually the sword wielder for some reason. That's the team master. I guess because they think sword wielding is more, you know, a knight. A knight is like the leader, and we all have to listen to what they say. So I'm just going to ease up on that perspective just a touch. It might be a bit much. And give him more of a clear presence. The sword is right there. The sword doesn't look straight, which I don't like because it's more of a poised knight. So I want the sword to look straight. The sword is the focal point at this point. So I want it to feel a little bit more like one. Again, this is, I'm working fast. I'm breaking rules. So, you know, you guys will have more time than I do to really clean up these pieces for yourselves. And then we've got this little patch job right here. And I think that's it. All of them have been separated from each other. And I'm just gonna, I mean, it's a square canvas. It's not gonna work, but for the sake of the game layout, I have to stick to it. Unfortunately, I can't change too much. This is how they would have wanted this handed in to the programmer to plug into the game. I can't change it, so I have to follow the rules of the layout they expect. But I can mess around with a lot of these positions of the characters. That I can do plenty. And so yeah, just messing around some more. So we're going to take a look at the before and after just with these changes and see how much we've benefited from them after I kind of decide on the settle on the final position of some of these guys. I shouldn't worry too much about this guy being bigger than the rest. I really want to capture that the bullies are around me look. The heroes have arrived look. I wonder whose layer that is. Okay. All right, so the one in the background, each one of these characters, since they're in the clouds, I don't want to change the colors. I want to leave the colors alone. I do, however, want to give each character a shadow level so that the characters in the foreground and the character in the background have like a very nice change between them, a very nice difference between them. And we don't have like an awkward, every single one of these characters has equal levels of contrast. So it feels very awkward, like they're all super mega important. So what I want to do is make it so that one of them is really the most important one, which is the one in the middle. But we've got a couple others that may have like a supporting role. Let me see what the heck I can do here. Okay. So this arm needs to go behind. Okay, so what's happening? Oh, right. So I'm just gonna make them all of different depth levels. I moved this guy's arm so that it looks a little bit less in the way because we want to see this guy's handle. I'm trying to see if any characters are impeding on other characters. So the guys in the foreground need to be darkened. So what we do is we make a new layer, we darken, and then we also colorize. So we're going to get a very standard atmospheric dark color, which I'm just going to use as purple since the clouds show a sunset scene. So I want a nice atmospheric presence there. And I'm going to use color mode on maybe like 50% and create the dark version of her. She's against the light, so we can't see her against the light. And then I'm going to delete away at where the light does catch her. So somewhere on her broom, somewhere over here. And it's going to be like a really nice, cool contrast on her character here. And then we've got the ambient sky color. So this blue will run in and save the day on all that lost value. Now, before I do that, I am going to use dodge tool on the areas that get the light. Really try to boost those areas to wake up her character. This is metallic, so it should be catching tons of light. And not so much it breaks the focal point, but just enough that it feels like a nice amount of rim light. Okay, and so bear with me. I'm going to have to do each of these characters. These are multiple characters I'm critiquing today. But I promise you the payoff is amazing once you see the impact this creates. And I'm just going to try to get some of those undertones out. And again, I'm merging down, capturing the lasso, grabbing this blue and using it on her upper breast area, because this is what starts dominating on a shadow side of a character, the atmospheric ambience. Anywhere where you feel like, oh, this darkened layer darkened everything, bring in the atmospheric ambience. It literally means grab this sky color and use it on the character. So I'm going to use it on the helmet. I'm going to use it a bit of it on the front of the broom. And that's it. And then I'm just going to delete away at what I don't want. And you can see now she kind of has those values back. Everything woke up again. It's not fully drowned in shadow. And then I'm just gonna clean up my lines here. Okay, character number 1 is done. I'm just gonna mess with her levels a little bit so she's nice and out of the way, and go back in with some rim light. Just crank up dodge tool and create some really nice rim light to separate certain elements of the design from each other. So this is all light and camera work. The actors have been dressed up, they've been well cast, their body types match, and now the cameraman and the director are sitting together formulating the best possible position for the camera to represent all of these characters together. I forgot a little bit of that ambient light on the arm and the metal of the arm. And just going backward to get that contrast back. Okay, so that's one character done. Let's go to the next guy. Same exact deal, but this guy's got the light right on him. So he's going to be getting a lot of those direct lights, a lot of the direct light exposing his character. And there's going to be some cast shadows as well. So I'm cranking up the levels on his light side, but I'm not going to, you know, completely lighten everything. I'm going to try to make the light, I'm going to cheat a little bit as if the light on him is the same angle, but it's slightly shifted away. So it's not exact. And then select all, copy, go to before I do that. Yep, and then paste. And then now we have a light version and a dark version, and I'm going to delete away what I feel like the light can't see. All right, and so we're going to have a Terminator somewhere in the middle. We're going to have some extra shadow here and there. The sleeve, the occlusion of the sleeve is there. That area is there. And then I'm just going to darken the legs. I'm always going to darken the legs. I do not need the legs super bright. So darken on midtones, sorry, burn on midtones. And I'm just trying to get rid of the legs. They're not important. They're just there so that the characters have legs. They're not there for any real fundamental focal use. They're just there because characters need legs. That's it. So you see the light side on this guy, and then I'm just going to merge that down and darken his legs as well after I give him legs. Okay. So darken his legs with darken or dodge tool, sorry. And then on 100%. So this character is now done. There's also his magical ball, which I will have to address after everything's been finished. This guy's body type, again, does not feel epic. I get that the costumes in RuneScape tend to be a little bit cosplay. I don't know if you've noticed for any RuneScape players. They tend to be a little bit on the cosplay side. All the characters are dressed. All the 3D models are pretty, you know, like they're pretty basic. They're not very high graphics, super exaggerated, caricaturized characters like in League of Legends, for instance. I don't play a lot of games. These are the references I have. So you can see that they tend to, oh no, I merged those two, son of a bitch. You can see how they have more of a basic look. I don't even know what I did on the new layer. That's okay. So the next guy that I'm going to work on is I'm going to skip the two middle guys and go straight into the background dude. The background dude needs to have some atmospheric perspective applied to him. So we're going to do 2 layers. One of them is going to have atmospheric perspective and one of them isn't. He's in the background. He's just out of the way. And so I'm going to delete away at where I do not need atmospheric perspective, which is his sword. Some of his upper body. Okay, and I'm going to just throw in some atmospheric perspective on some areas here and there. So I don't want it completely tucked out of the way. I want to leave some of the stomach visible. And then I'm going to go to this guy. Same deal. He's going to have some shadows just like her. So duplicate the layer, lock it, darken it, bluify it with color mode using the purple of the atmosphere. It's all standard steps, 50%. And we're just going to bluify that shadow to match the atmosphere. And then we're going to delete away at what the light can't see. This time it's kind of to his side so we can see a little bit more of him. Each muscle, each part of his torso, each part of his body is treated as a form study. And then we're going to use dodge tool on all the areas the light can see. And eventually things just start looking more appropriate to the light environment. Okay, so that's a bit too much there. I'll fix that arm. All right, and this guy's shoulder needs to be, oops, let me just merge down actually. Needs to be raised upward to match the perspective, to be in the way, to rotate his body so that he's looking right at us. Do you see that? So just to make that. So there's only so much time I have to show these changes, to do these changes. There's only so much I can do in the time I have. I wish I could go through every character and really polish them up, throw in a bunch of stuff, a bunch of really cool changes. I'm just messing with the background, sorry, with the warp here. So he looks a bit more like he's involved in this perspective. And then just continue with that dodge tool. The presence of the light being behind them just makes them look more epic. Like the light is in the way. They're in the way of the light. They're casting a shadow over. They look super epic, super cool. And oops. All right, and then the guy back there, he needs a lot more epic light on him. So again, we're duplicating. We are duplicating, unlocking, darkening just a little bit. So I'm just going to darken a little bit for this guy. So we're darkening and we're adding a bit of blue to his color. We are deleting at what the light can see, and 100%. And I'm really gonna up my rendering level on this guy because he's kind of like the leader. He's the big shot. He's the leader. He's the one who calls the shot, picks the dungeons you do, leads the team to success and victory and glory. And I'm gonna just darken his lower area here to complete his silhouette. Yeah, I don't know what these layers are doing. I'll do it in a second. And then I'm gonna get dodge tool on all the spots that the light can see and really amp that up. Get that rim light going. And so merge down, duplicate the layer, merge down, dodge tool on highlights, and just try to get that light to look really nice and epic. I don't know why this is doing that. I don't think my night light is on. No, it's not. So I'm just gonna keep going. See what Photoshop is up to today. And a lot more detail on this character, which you did right. You did that right. Whoever this artist is. I don't know who the artist is that did this for RuneScape. And then I'm going to get that blue light and go to lighten and use it on all of the sides that are in the shadow to wake them up out of that shadow and bring in that ambient mode light. And use some of it on the helmet. And that's just the presence of the sky itself, illuminating the parts that we don't see. Do you see that? And he starts looking a lot more epic, a lot more alive, a lot more involved in the scene. And then just continuing with the presence of that sunlight peeking through. I'm going to add in a bit of that light ray, God ray type thing. Make these characters look as epic as you need to be to play Iron Man mode on RuneScape, which is a really, really cool change they did in the game. I know I would never have the time or the courage to do that. And I'm just finding all the ways I can sneak in light in his design. Really use a little bit of extra rendering skill to wake his character up and make him look more present. Really cool light here on the helm, on the armband. So help me out here. I don't know what it's called. I don't know why his helmet just does not feel shiny. I feel like you could have snuck in some more shine on the helmet, but I'll leave that alone. Maybe it's the design of the helmet, maybe it's the costume itself. Or, you know, like how you can, like the item itself in the game. I'm not 100% sure. And then we have the shadow. I really don't know what's happening here. So I'm just going to delete that. I think that was the atmospheric perspective. So merging that down. And then finally, this dude right here, same deal. Duplicate the layer, lock it, darken it, make it more blue on color mode, or purple, which is the environment shadow color. And this guy is directly kind of in that position where we would get those shadows and that bounce light on the back. And then I'm going to delete it, whatever the light can see. So every character is in a really, really cool spot. And they're in a really nice setup here to have, they're all in like a really sweet spot, all of them, because this lighting is so cool. It can be appreciated from many different angles. This like side sunset lighting. It's really, really interesting. And then I'm just going to add a bit of that extra, add a bit of that extra light on his arm. I'm kind of messing up the layers all over the place right now. And then I'm going to merge down and then just clean up whatever this is, whatever's going on here. I don't know. I forgot what I was doing. So son of a lock, right? That is one layer, right? And I'm on normal. No, it's this one, right? Lock, and then, okay. And then I'm just giving him some kind of, I feel like I lost a weapon. Oh, I did. I lost this whole weapon here. Oopsie. That's okay. I'm just going to leave it alone. And darkening this guy's lower area. Darkening this guy's lower area until we get to that last guy, who I will do one final edit for and make him look a bit more powerful, you know, present and superior. Maybe make him taller than the rest by a little bit. This guy here could use a bit more size and forward movement. And so now I can darken with a little bit more courage. So I duplicate the layer, darken quite a bit, just so we have those ambient occlusion sections where we have a real rejection of the light. So I have two layers now. One is ready for the light, one is completely rejecting the light. And I can create a nice like closed off canopy on the edges of the canvas. See that little bit of shadow there. And as I make these changes, I have to clean up because I'm going to continuously rescale and adjust as I go. You should be this ready to adjust. You should be this ready to explore and experiment as you paint. You should not be rigid in where you place objects. You should not be too scared to change their size. And I mean, hopefully you referenced enough that you don't need to do much of that. I'm doing a lot of that because I'm critiquing. But you know what I mean. And then her, she's got like these little wispy bits that seem to be eating up the scene. I need to find whose little speckle is that. Whose speckle is that? I guess that's just the background speckle. And then I'm gonna add in a layer of fog between each character. The middle guy, I have one more change to make. Filter, liquefy, and I just want him to have like a bit more of a godlike length. You know what I mean? He still looks much taller, but now he's just like the big guy. So in front of him, there's going to be a fog layer. I'm going to just make it pink and gray and blue and all those wonderful colors you already used. So this blue color, and I'm just going to let it peek in. In front of this guy, I really don't know what these layers are. That's empty. That's empty. In front of this guy, there's going to be a fog layer. And I think both guys can have the same fog layer. So I'm separating them from each other. I don't want to look at their feet. Their feet are not that important. And in front of these guys, there's going to be a fog layer. So now we've closed off the lower half of the canvas. And then in front of, so these are all atmospheric elements. So we're painting the air, literally. And I'm going to, in the background, now decide where that light is coming from that we've been following this whole time. So we have like a bunch of light from one side. That light is going to have kind of like a golden presence to it. These aren't bad guys. Remember, we're not painting bad guys. So we can use a bit of that godlike presence in the whole scene. We can do a bit of that. We just also want to make them look like they'll kick your ass if they wanted to. And then let some of that glare in. So there's different brushes I have that have a really cool lens flare. Maybe I can explore some of them. So that's a really, really cool one. I don't want that much. So I'm going to filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and just get some of those rays there in the way. And I also want to add like some shadows peeking over their shoulder, you know, like shadows where the light can't get through. And we have like a bit of a, almost like a foggy shadow presence, like a God ray, but like you paint God rays with the shadows as well. Do you see that? Like that's really, really cool. I just want a bit of that in there. It'll make a difference. It's there. It'll make a difference. And I'm putting it beside every object blocking light. You don't have to make it track the whole canvas. It can just be a little bit of a presence just to show how that fog is doing that effect. And then back to here, I feel like that God ray is just a bit much. And then we're gonna bring in some more God rays somewhere here. Oops, wrong color. Somewhere here. Actually, it's so intense. Maybe there's another one I have. Where are you? Oh, this one's pretty cool. Oh, that's good. That looks good. All right, so filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and then just keep layering these lens flares, these God rays, enough that we have a really nice presence of the light, and then deleting it wherever I feel like she doesn't need all that much distortion on her character, so that the God rays are there doing their thing. And then with soft brush, I'm just gonna let it sit at the top. So now that we have this shadow area here, something like a shadow in the middle of everything, I want to merge the layers, but I'm too scared because I feel like I'm going to need them. But let us bring that shine of the weapons back. So her weapon is on this guy's layer. So let's mess with that once more. Now that we have the primary established, we can bring in the secondary light, no problem. Oh, I see she has an arm too. Oh shit. So I messed that up. And I'm just gonna select like one random section of the weapon to extend it and just finish it in a fake way. Just fake my way through it. Fake it till you make it. And I feel so bad about her arms, so I want to fix it, but that would just be so much editing. But I really do want to fix it. So let me see if I can just fake it again. Fake it just enough that it'll kind of match what's happening. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, just like fake it there. And delete, I guess. This is bad. So I'm just cleaning that up. And because this guy is in the way, his fog can be, so that's their fog, right? And then we've got their fog. His fog can be a bit higher to separate her arm from his. Do you see that? So now her arm is nice and in front of him. The bottom of these characters is not important. And if you feel like you lost the legs, brighten behind the legs in such a big way that we get the legs back. Do you see how now we can see the legs a little bit better? But the fog hasn't completely shown, it's gone. The fog is still there. And then from the top of the canvas with a gradient tool, I'm gonna do a pure white. I don't know why it's doing this. Like, what is up with this shit? And so I'm just trying to show how the light is like, how do you make it like have the classic mode, you know? Like, I don't have to accept it. It's just like a standard color. Like, I hate you, Photoshop, sometimes, I swear to God. Rasterize. So I have to do this every time? Are you fucking kidding me, Photoshop? I don't want to adjust it, bro. Like, let me live. I hate you. I just rasterized. So before Photoshop crashes on me, let me save. I just rasterized though. Convert to smart object, I guess. Convert to smart object. Rasterize. I guess that's all Photoshop's going to allow me to do. I have not explored these new tools. I have not been doing that. I've been kind of iffy about Photoshop in general. So we have all this fog. I'm just going to kind of boost up the lower half of the canvas with an equivalent layer of black on gradient. Unfortunately, I have to use gradient again. But this time it's pure black. I don't know why I have to switch back. Like, I changed the color. Why didn't you just switch back? Ugh. Okay, so I just want to add a shadow. So on top of the legs being dark, on top of the fog layers between each legs, I'm gonna add a gradient, a shadow frame. So there's so many cool ways to keep expanding. You son of a bitch. I swear to God, Photoshop, I hate you sometimes. So there's different ways to expand on this framing. Let me show you the benefit of these two layers. This layer and where did it go? Is it gone? Oh, this layer and this layer. So look, before it's just cinematic stuff. After it's stuff you notice before. After. Oh, I didn't end up showing you guys just the position change. Oops. So before, after. So it's like a little boost of depth. Do you see what I'm saying, you guys? Before, after. It's so small, and it's stuff you pick up watching movies. And then finally, this guy's magic orb. And I'm just gonna be contemplating his orb for a second. I shouldn't have said that. So I'm just gonna color. I think he had multiple colors going on in there, which is good. You don't want monochromatic, that looks lame. So you want to kind of mess around. And I'm just gonna orb. And I'm just gonna use soft light to give the orb some glow. It's gonna add a nice little effect. I'm gonna go to this guy's sword and give it some extra effects here and there to kind of give it some gold banding, which is like when you have a straight line running across the gold. That always looks really pretty and very appealing visually. And then just like dress that up with some color, maybe bring in like a bluish royal color or something like that. And all these guys have really, really cool weapons. This guy's orb is not very pretty, so let me fix it up. He needs to trim his orb. Istebrak, why would you say that on live television? And I'm just making the orb clean. I swear to God, I need to shut up. I'm such a 30-year-old woman. And then I'm just gonna add a little bit here. And then maybe on a normal mode, get like blue and add like a layer, like a filter of blue, white. Do you see that? Like it creates that glowy look. The background, I'm gonna saturate because I want to kind of wake it up a little bit. This side of her shirt is not great, so I want to desaturate it. It's distracting the eyes quite a bit. And then once I merge down, I'll be able to mess around with a lot more color use and color changes. I believe the fog layer directly in front of these guys could be just a little bit lower for him. And then I'm just gonna flatten. Let's flatten the image. It's 6 o'clock. It's time to flatten. And I'm just gonna collectively boost the saturation a bit. And then I just want to mess around with the levels of the colors. Maybe make it just a touch more blue. Where is it? I don't know how to use this. There we go. So just a touch more blue on the lower half, and flatten. Select it, go to before I did that, and flatten image, paste, and then just keep some of the blue on the lower half. That's just a bit more blue, and then duplicate that layer again, and maybe dodge just the top part of the painting, just so we have like some extra yellow presence, and then maybe mess with these levels. Mess with these levels or curves actually, and maybe make that was a huge lag spike. Maybe make it more pink at the very top, merge that down, or merge layers, right? Yeah, and then delete away at the center, keeping some of that golden red. So you see how I brought some of those colors back, and just boosted the redness at the top. And that's really all that I want to do with this. It goes a long way, and it helps us establish like a different cinematic experience with these characters. So all of these characters are crushed into a tile canvas, if you remember. And there's so much more we could do if we could just expand the canvas a little bit. I'm just gonna mess around with some of these spots here, mess around with the magic, use color dodge to make the magic a little bit more present in this scene. Use some of it on his character. I know I lost his arm, his other weapon. Use some on this magical scepter, or I guess it's a what's it called? It's a bow and arrow, and I'm going to use a bit more of that blue on her character as well from the magic stuff. So I wanted to do this all in one layer, really, and then use a bit more of that blue here. And just expand on that glare at the top, and then maybe boost his rim light here just to make him look a little bit more godlike. So there's like this really, really epic level of lighting, final character reveal, presence and everything. And this is it. This is what my private students all have to do. They study movies, and they study the changes that come with movies. See, I added that rim light. It's not sensical, but it works for some reason. There could be some other level of light behind over there. Adding a little bit of extra rim light on this guy to separate him from the guy behind him. It's a clustered piece. You have a lot of moving parts, and there's a balance game, a game of just Jenga, I guess, where you can't really do too much without toppling the whole piece. It's little pieces back and forth, and eventually you hit a sweet spot where everything it just seems to work. So I'm just trying to find any extra spots where I can sneak in a bit of rim light. Just those touching, like just the touch and go pieces that just seem to add something to the piece. Like they're not final. There's so many different ways to do them. It's all really quick, just anything that can work in this section. And this sword is now reading as a very important element of the team's survival. And these guys are shrouded in the glory of Valhalla because that's literally what it takes to play Iron Man mode and just make it and succeed in that game that is already so difficult, but to keep going with it's just so cool mode. So I wanted to take a look at the poster for it. Some of the RuneScape art is a little bit, you know, behind. It needs that cinematic element because the game lacks it. And so it'd be really cool if the art of the game just went full, you know, went ham and gave us back what we kind of lose in the gameplay. Not that the gameplay is bad or anything like that. I'm not bashing the game. I love that game, but I do believe that the art sometimes can feel a little flat. We deserve better art for RuneScape, and I think adding that cinematic element is where we can go to get that. And this rim light everywhere. Rim light is a great way to separate characters. Fog is a great way to separate characters. Atmospheric depth is a great way to separate characters, meaning you use the background to diffuse and remove contrast. I think this was a hook of some kind. Maybe I can try to add it back in. Oh gosh, I don't know if I can do that right now. Oh brother. Okay, so I don't know. I don't know if it works. I don't know. It's not working. Let me just leave well enough alone. There are also different ways to show separation between characters. For instance, her breast area and the rest of this character can be separated by light. So it feels like they're touching and they shouldn't be. There's light between them. They're not quite making contact. You see that? So now we have a clear description of her silhouette. You can do that with every character in between. So him and him can be separated with that light ray, and you create these different tiers of positions of the characters in this light scenario. Do you see that? And I'm just gonna do some final little touches to help the scene along, stuff that I feel like would complete the scene in a big way. So these characters here, there's not much light separating these guys. Just rim light really is what separates this side, because this side's facing the light. Do you see what I mean? But this side have their backs against the light, and so they don't get that rim light that we can get here, or that direct light we can get here. Couple more chances to throw in some rim light to wake up the scene. And that's your go-to for a splash, be it League or anything. Rim light, lots of lights, silhouettes, crazy light effects, two lights, lots and lots of ambient light, good camera angle, crazy gestures. Obviously here we don't get to have crazy gestures because, well, it's just the scene and what we have to work with. And I'm gonna sneak in a bit of light between these two guys, because if you check the navigator, there's like no separation between them. So I want to create that separation, maybe a light ray snuck in or something like that. And I'm going to select that. Go to before I did that. And oops, that was right here. Paste that in and resoften it. Okie dokie, so it looks a bit more cinematic than it did before. Let's take a look at the before and after. Are you guys ready? Let me save, Control C. Before, so very flat. After, very cinematic, very domineering, very strong, very, very big, very demure. And again, we look at the before. So it's almost direct light. It was a badly taken Polaroid camera shot where the main character is not present in the center of the canvas. The main character, who's him, is not even in the center of the canvas. He's kind of tucked off to the side. Maybe they had a little icon, but it looked like just a badly taken photo of a couple of friends who went cosplaying. Doesn't feel like what we would think when we think you're playing this game on death mode. You're playing this game on no forgiveness mode. And then after, now it feels a little bit more RuneScape, and I'm just gonna try to find the RuneScape Iron Man mode icon. Maybe just the RuneScape logo, and just throw it on top. Is this the current one right here? This one? Is that the current one? Let me put it on screen. Actually, let me fix the levels real quick. And just toss it here somewhere. Or actually, it's not going to work because it's like a really weird icon. Whoa! Relax, Photoshop. Rasterize. I don't know. I don't think this is working. Maybe I can duplicate to death and then merge layers. Screen. It just created the same issue over again. This is the proper icon for this specific art. Which one? Where did you share it somewhere? This one is, or is there another one that I could use, just so that you guys can get a better idea of how this can be used in the game. It's not a game killing change like a lot of people like to remind. Oh, this guy's got some kind of lantern. Oopsie. Let me see what. Oh, it's cut off, so I wouldn't even know what the heck to do with that. But you guys can see how it can be added here with like a circle around it, I guess, or an ellipses of any kind. Is that what it's called? Ellipses? You know what I mean? Like it can, there's so many things you can do. Let me duplicate this level, this layer. Lock it, pick like a gold, and just try to make it look more like a complete, it looks like some kind of corporate logo. And then give it like something of a frame here. You know, like I'm just trying to make it, I don't even know how to do this. But nice with attitude. Oh, hi, MT. Let me see if this one can work. Open a new tab. Maybe this will work. You know, like RuneScape, or just right at the top, and don't really know what gets rid of the. There we go. This is the best I can do right now. But it's because it's a tile canvas. It's because it's a square canvas. If we had just a little bit of extra something, we could maybe do something with it. But I don't know, man. I don't know what I can do to relieve this of its background. You guys see where I'm going with this, right? Like it can be added right here. Feels very epic. You got the login screen right here. It's taking over the screen of the viewer. The viewer is like, oh my god, it's Iron Man mode time. Holy shit. You're gonna do it. Let's meet up. Oh yeah, let's buy premium. Do you see where I'm going with this, RuneScape? This is financially beneficial for you. My critique hour will save your game. I'm just joking. But you can see how you want to hype up your characters by, I mean, your players by doing this type of stuff. And so this art needs to be directed in such a way where I'm not even sure, is this the official art or is this fan art? I really need to make sure I didn't just make a fool of myself. This is the official fan art, right, Abu? Um, RuneScape group Iron Man. Awesome. Abu saved the day. Um, oh my God, you're the best, dude. So there we go. So there we go. That looks really cool. That works. You can make this guy a little bit taller. I just didn't make him any taller because I was assuming there's something up here because the original one had a big space at the top. But now I have all these extra layers. I need to get rid of them. This I want to keep. I'm just going to leave that at the top. It seems to fill it up. I thought there would be something at the top that I could bring in later. Okay, so it might not be a finished splash. It might not be completely ready to go. But there is a big change now. There is a big change. There is the change of the camera angle. There's the change of the perspective. There's the change of the positions of the characters. There's the lighting change. There's the background change. Things feel a lot more epic when we take that stuff seriously. When we think about oh, that's the sword in the way. I feel like the sword of this character, it kind of could be, it's just hidden. You know, it feels like it's trying to be the logo. Something like that, I guess. That would work. And if you do have this logo in there, you must surround it with some kind of smoke because it's gonna try to be part of the illustration and you don't want that. So I'm gonna pick like this guy, this background pink color. I'm gonna put it around the logo so that the logo is separated from the rest of the scene. It makes it look like it's part of the illustration without interfering with the contrast. Without it, it's gone, it's hidden. What am I looking at? I'm the viewer, I'm confused. But now I'm not so confused. Okay, this is Iron Man mode. This is really cool. This is the poster. It's gonna work. You know, this is feeling like epic and it's what the scene needs. Please, please crop so that we can have a non-tile canvas so it feels a little bit more complete a scene. However, I can't show the before and after with a crop because I need to show you how much empty space you had in the before and after before the crop. Do you see that? It was just empty. Again, this might be functional space, might have been used for a reason, but I really beg you, RuneScape, to change your poster. If it's coming, just to crop it a little bit. I don't even know how it's being used. The audacity to request for a change. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. So many changes. You guys saw me use Portrait Studio today. That's on my store, and it's amazing. It helps you pose and prepare illustrations, explore different thumbnails without the pain of painting them. You just can pose your models and you're ready to go. So that's what I did today. I worked on all of these. I put them together. And before and after, lots of changes with the cinematic perspective, with the lighting, with the depth, with the dynamic of the characters, gave the characters a bit more of a symmetrical, godlike presence. Lots of changes, and it took a lot of time. It took an hour and a half. One of the longer episodes of Critique Hour, but I hope today you saw what I mean by bad casting, bad camera, lack of atmosphere. You know what I mean? It's just all adding together at the very end, small changes that add up to make a larger impact, a greater impact on the game and the experience of the game and the viewer's experience and just the general dignity, I guess, of the game. It goes up a little bit when you take the viewer's cinematic experience of the poster, of the ad, of this big mode change in the game, when you take it seriously. Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate you guys being here. I don't have time for questions. I need to drink water. Thank you guys for coming. I'll see you guys on Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern time for a much shorter critique. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys next critique hour at 5 p.m. Eastern time. Bye.